Hey everyone, Pure Insanity here again with another exciting Druid build crafting video as I've wrapped up my quick shift build. There are some similar builds out there, however, they don't have as much damage output or survivability because they're not fully taking advantage of Hunter Zenith and the damage output of quick shift. As you might expect, this build is using the Great Staff of Crone and Claw with Nature's Fury to reset Trample, but Hunter Zenith is adding Free Cast of Trample, an additional 20% X multiplier to Quick Shift, more damage reduction through Heightened Senses, and more healing through Claw. Trample is still so powerful with crits. I'm getting up to 2 million and overpowering for up to 6 million. This build is really a great blend of damage, speed, survivability, and fun. The first thing I want to point out is this tier 100 Nightmare Dungeon has the armor reduction modifier, which normally can make higher level Nightmare Dungeons very challenging. But the survivability of this build is insane. You may also note I'm not using any potions or elixirs, which means either less farming herbs, room to use them if you have any weak gear affixes, or making the build even more powerful. On that note, I do want to focus this video a bit on Druid survivability as well. AOZ really pushed survivability, but I have been generally frustrated with one-shots as a Druid you can't really do much about, and this build really solves a lot of those issues without sacrificing damage. I was super curious about how much damage the one-shots killing me with full armor, 22k health, and loads of DR were hitting me for, so I switched out Tibalt's Will for Temerity. So let's dig into the build and do some math to find out. Tibalt's Will is really nice in this build, but it won't save you from one-shots, and I discovered the unique aspect was a little flaky. It doesn't reproc while it's active, which can equate to a lot of downtime on that damage multiplier. Additionally, overpower damage is in part based on fortification, not to mention a big part of the damage reduction and survivability in this build, so I actually give Temerity the edge for the legs. And I would have been one-shot by that Volcanic Gout hit if it wasn't for Temerity. The Volcanic Gout hit that took me from almost full Temerity barrier, full fortification, and full health hit for about 40k damage. If you take my werewolf form DR, it's at about 78% for armor, because I'm missing a little, 25% from fortification, and 20% general, for a grand total of taking about 13% damage, which puts that Volcanic Gout hit around 300k damage. Environmental hits, Death Pulse, and Dot Pools don't get other Druid forms of damage reduction applied that are easier to stack, such as damage reduction from poison and or vulnerable. Druids also basically don't get immunity, making health, fortification, and barriers the key to surviving one-shots. The other big mechanical factor is mobility, but this is where my love-hate relationship with Trample comes in. It can get you out of trouble quick and is almost always up with this build, but I can't tell you how many times I've been one-shot because I ended up trampling into Volcanic Gout, a Death Pulse, or other one-shot source. And that is why I ultimately sided with Temerity over Tibalt's Will. Trample does plenty of damage without the Tibalt's Will damage multiplier, and that one-shot survivability allows using Trample liberally. Regardless of Trample's quirks, without Temerity, you have to either stack Bulwark or be in Grizzly Rage to survive these one-shots, which can be a bit difficult for builds, and Bulwark can be flaky. If Bulwark isn't full, which you don't really get a good indicator if it is or isn't, 300,000 raw damage is still likely to kill you, plus it's harder to maintain full health and fortification when compared with Temerity. I will acknowledge Temerity fits really well into this Season 2 build as a Moonrise Ravenous build using the Undying Vampiric power provides a ton of healing. The Spirit Boons and skills also have a good amount of healing and fortification, so staying at full health and full fortification and full Temerity barrier is easy. But this is also where some of the druids' lack of immunity gets super frustrating. I stopped the gameplay just now, right before I joined the Tides of Blood event. The damage this event puts out is just dumb. I wasn't going to do it at first, but Flooded Depths is a pretty short run, so I decided to. But this also brings me to another gear segue that is very important. Surviving 300k one-shots and or 450k damage sub-second is one thing, but you have to survive the fight after. This is where damage reduction while injured becomes critical. Boots can roll with this affix, and you want a high roll. And that's actually why my werewolf armor is a bit shy of full armor for tier 100 dungeons of 13.3k, because I got a high roll on my boots for damage while injured. The reverse multiplicative nature of damage reduction makes the high roll in damage reduction while injured critical in order to recover from the big hits and sub-second damage. The next gear item I want to discuss is the Helm, and if you noticed, I'm using Harlequin Crest, but this build is almost as strong if you're using Vasily's Prayer instead. I actually struggled on this choice and testing for a long time, but I gave Harlequin Crest the edge. It's only minor though. The give and take between both is of course the nature of a Nature's Fury build and how many skills are being used, but Vasily's Prayer makes the Earth skills werebear skills, adding 3 ranks compared to 4, and increasing the quick shift proc, not to mention making those Earth skills werebear skills, adding damage from the Paragon board. So if you don't have the Shaco, don't worry. Just use Vasily's Prayer. The really fun thing about making this video and the build crafting is experimenting with everything that can kill you. You can survive Volcanic Gout and Death Pulses, but Nudging Evade, Call Lightning, and other things will still one-shot you. I do kind of like this because it makes you play mechanically, but so many classes have immunity where this isn't an issue. And as a druid, it's literally impossible to make a build that can take these shots. So normally, in my experiences, the big beast of higher level nightmare dungeons is the Drowned Sea Hag. If you don't play her mechanically, she can one-shot many builds. Here's the thing, she can't one-shot this build. And here's the segue to why I'm bringing this up. The Guardians in AOZ can kill you quicker than the Drowned Sea Hag can in higher level after the nerf for AOZ without immunity. They also nerfed the leveling of the Tears of Blood glyph, so not being able to grind AOZ doesn't really bother me that much, but the general viability of builds, particularly druid builds, does. That said, this build speed clears tier 100 nightmare dungeons and is a ton of fun, so I'm not too concerned. I'm very excited to see what the next season and updates have to offer for druids, But for now, I'm going to start experimenting with other classes. I think it'll be good. It'll give me some more insight and comparisons so I can do these builds and have more of a judgment. And that's something that I personally haven't done. So I hope you really enjoyed the video, and if you run this build, that'd be awesome. That said, normally I have a build link in the description. I am not putting it there this time purposely. I am not a content creator, and look, I want to see how many people really want to get this build. So if you want to try it out, if you want to show your appreciation, give me a comment, let me know, and I will gladly put that together for you. I'll gladly link that for you. But hey, for everyone here until the end, much thanks. I appreciate you, and until next time.
I must wait a moment.